Today we're joined by Carla from NowSignage, a market leader in digital signage that are making it easy, flexible and surprisingly powerful. If you've got screens in place already that might be struggling to update content across multiple sites, this episode's for you. Welcome, Carla.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks for that great intro.
No problem. Well, let's start with the basics then. So what is NowSignage? What do you guys actually do? And how does it help businesses make better use of their screens?
Well, in simple terms, NowSignage is a cloud-based content management system.
Okay.
It's software only. The software is packed full of enterprise-grade features, but at the same time, it's really intuitive. It's got a nice, easy workflow and a nice user-friendly interface.
Okay.
So from a customer's point of view, they simply upload the content. It allows them to manage their estate of screens remotely and just make sure that that content is getting to the audience at the time it's necessary to do so. So really, whether that's talking about retail or quick service restaurants, corporate or NHS trusts, irrelevant of that environment, the critical point is getting that content to the audience at that key point.
Fantastic. Well, from our side, lots of businesses we see struggle to manage it like across multiple sites. So in that case, how does NowSignage make that easier for them?
Well, there's a couple of different ways in which that would work, but really whether you've got an estate of 5 screens in one location or hundreds across a different geographical location, the management of that platform is the same essentially. You're also just a few sort of clicks away from being able to see the whole estate to drill down to see one screen. So first and foremost, from a users and roles permissions, we've created quite an advanced feature here. So you've got access to 6 predefined roles, but then you can also create your own role.
Okay.
So that allows for either limitation of access or lots of levels of access for each user and then therefore screen. On the back of that, from a screens perspective, in terms of how you set that estate up, you can create folders so that you're almost recreating the physical aspects of where those screens are located. And we've updated our data tables recently. So within the screens table, for example, you can now customize that. You can search and filter. You can also apply bulk updates. And therefore, that was really critical for enterprise-grade customers that have got many, many hundreds of screens. And then from a content point of view, we've got customers who've got a playlist over every different screen. And we've also got customers who've got a consistent message and then they want to send specific messages to different screens. So there's many, many different ways in which you can create an easy-to-use content management system with NowSignage.
That's fantastic. One of the challenges that we see quite commonly with sort of our customers, particularly in corporates, is the need for like specific hardware to run signage. I mean, you mentioned earlier that you guys are a software-only piece. So how does NowSignage avoid the specific need for hardware?
Yeah.
And work with what businesses might already have in place?
So, well, we work across all of the operating systems pretty much. The main obviously being Windows and Android, some proprietary players like BrightSign and WebOS, Tizen, etc. So really irrelevant of what the hardware is, our basic functionality will work seamlessly across many, many different options. For any of the more advanced features, we'd say, speak to ourselves or you about hardware topology. But again, there's lots of different options here. So really, it doesn't matter what the hardware requirement is. We've got lots of scenarios with customers who've got a mixed sort of estate of hardware, and that can be managed centrally by our CMS. So, we've got customers with LED, high brights, system on chip on walls, but irrelevant of that situation, like I say, the CMS can manage that all seamlessly.
On that note, you mentioned before about making this like really easy for teams to use and how intuitive it is. So can you walk us through some of the features that do help the teams like stay in control? So more probably along the lines of like the scheduling or live updates or remote access.
Yeah, I mean, there's many features within NowSignage. Some of the basics would include the scheduling, which is obviously critical to allow customers to upload content and get that out to the audience at particular days and times. We've got a number of other features that will allow for specific content to get to particular screens or groups of. So whether that's a tagging feature, for example, that allows a user and a piece of content to be associated to a screen. Our override feature, again, just allows you to take over a particular playlist. Again, that can be very specific as to what screens and when. Some of our more advanced features would be like we've got secure dashboards, Power BI, for example. And then there's other applications as well that are available within the software, such as our ad booker for retail media network. So we've got lots of supermarket chains using that feature, and our menu boards for quick service restaurants, so allowing for price updates and control of stocks, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then just finally, from a support point of view, there's a couple of different ways in which you can keep control of the estate by email notifications. So an individual or group can get an email to say there's an issue with the screen. We've got proof of play, so you can create real-time reports on what's going on with the estate also. And our RDM feature as well, so that helps you with app updates, power cycles, that kind of thing. So lots and lots of options.
Well, it actually does lead me quite interestingly here for you into the next piece. You mentioned there's a lot of different features. So we know it can do more than just displaying content or creating a live schedule, which you've just mentioned there. There's other pieces of the puzzle here where we're talking like live sensors or different kind of content being displayed based on like tracking. So can you talk us through like some of those features and how businesses are using those to stay ahead of the curve?
Well, like you say, in its rawest form, Signage simply allows a user to view particular content, but once that is elevated, then you can really change the way in which a user interacts with that signage. So sensor-based technology, for example, obviously is one of those key areas, and thanks to our API first approach, we can integrate with lots of different third parties. So an example of that would be the Nexmosphere type sensors, so in a lift and learn kind of scenario in retail. So when a customer picks up a product, we can send real-time information about that product to the screen in situ. We can also integrate with Cloud Shelf. So when a customer is in store and they're interacting with the physical screen in store, you can then take that online via a mobile phone.
Okay.
In things like drive-throughs, for example, we can take the information off the order screen from a customer, and we can provide upsells onto the order screen at that sort of real-time scenario as well. So lots of different options. And then again, there's other features like on demand, which is often used within corporate environments. So a manager could send information or an update to a number of screens, again, via mobile in a remote location.
Speaking of that as well then, so do you have any real life examples that you want to talk about, I suppose, in all of those and the different features that we discussed there, where you have maybe helped a company save some time or improve their communication or just make life easier in general, really?
Yeah. Well, there's loads of different examples and lots of case studies on our website as well. I suppose one of the most recent is a large global customer who we've deployed a significant rollout with in the US recently. They needed to enhance their single site presence. So the data they were getting was it was old data, so they essentially couldn't do anything with it. It was they couldn't make any informed decisions to increase the day's operations, so to speak. So part of the global rollout was to incorporate some back of house dashboards. So this allowed us to send them obviously real-time information and gave each site complete control as to what was happening within the day. So very, very quickly that allowed them to track sales and KPIs, and that really made some significant changes for them and allowed them to make really big improvements in their standards.
So looking ahead then, what trends do you guys see coming forward with digital signage? What's new from NowSignage, if you can talk about it, that is. What should businesses be watching out for, and how is NowSignage really preparing for what's next?
Well, as you said, technology moves really, really quickly, but like I say, we take an API first approach, so that really allows us to adapt quickly to requirements and new innovations, that kind of thing, and we can work seamlessly with third-party integration. So examples of that, as we've touched on, the sensor and camera-based sort of technologies, but equally that would be things like point-of-sale systems and programmatic advertising platforms as well. AI is obviously going to be hot
topic,
hot topic, and there's going to be some big impacts made within digital signage partners. We've actually employed quite recently a specialist within our product development team, so they're tasked with focusing on improving some of that key sort of functionality within the platform, and we've outlined a few projects currently that obviously they're going to be working on. So all I can say at this point is just watch this space for updates on how that pans out.
Okay. Yeah, I figured it's going to be can't really speak about it just yet. With an intuitive platform, remote access, smart scheduling, and compatibility to fit within your existing environment, it really is a simple solution and an upgrade that delivers real results. A big thank you to Carla for joining us and showing us how NowSignage are at the forefront and helping businesses get more from their screens. If you are ready to bring your displays to life and get more out of something you may already have, please do book a free discovery call with us through the website. We'd love to help.